Hey everybody, so I'm finally getting around to doing that pickups video that I've been meaning to do for the last, like, 3 months, 2.5 months, something like that. And I decided to actually just divide things up. I sort of set aside a couple things. I was like, I don't think I need to mention those because I think I pretty much mentioned them in like other videos for different things, so I don't need to kind of repeat them. So and I'm mainly going to do movies for this one, except for two things that I do want to mention real quick. One of them is actually I got something in from Fright Rags, which you can see here. I haven't even opened the box yet, but I actually love that the box has this, which you can see there. Obviously, it's a Halloween 3 thing, and of course on the side it's got the silver shamrock thing, and the other side, don't miss the big Wrathicon giveaway. Look at that. Be in front of your TV sets and wear your mask. So yes, for those of you who obviously I'm sure saw these go up for a pre-order, these are sort of the mini masks. So naturally I had to order them. Again, not open it up yet, so I'm going to open it up real quick. But obviously the outer box, like I had to show off that outer box. I absolutely love that they did that. Because, you know, they didn't have to. I mean, that's just some little extra cost to put that on the outer box. But, you know, one of the reasons why I absolutely love Fright Rags. And inside, you can tell there are the masks. Let me pull these things out. See, one at a time. Ooh, one of them got a little squashed. Well, so did that one. I think this one looks like it's okay. Little scrunch in the box, unfortunately. So we'll do one at a time. As you can tell here on the bottom, it got a little scrunched. So these are the mini masks. So here's the witch. There's the front. There's the side with all three. And there is the other side. And just top real quick, it says mini mask. And finally, there is the back. And I think pretty much they're all similar. So it's almost time, gather around. I think it's basically the jingle from the commercial. It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Be in front of your TV sets for the Wrathicon. And remember, the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it, and don't forget to wear your mask. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Quality novelties made in Santa Mira, California. See, it's that kind of attention to detail that I absolutely love about Fright Rags and stuff. If it doesn't have the seal, it's not the real deal. It says there on the top. Okay, and I think the packaging is pretty much the same. Ooh, this one got definitely a little... Maybe you can see that little scrunched here as well. Looks like the mask is okay there. But as you can see, here's the pumpkin, the jack-o'-lantern one. And again, I'm pretty sure the sides are the same. They look to be the same as well as the back. I think it's the same on all. This one got a little squished as well. None of these kind of made it to... I mean, the masks themselves look like they're fine, but, you know. And here's the skull one real quick. And again, you know, you can see... similar packaging all around. Just actually like the orange color on this one. And there's the back with the commercial bit. So again, another cool thing to add to the Halloween 3 things. I don't have too many of the mini masks that Fright Rags have done. I think the only other one I have is the Creepshow one that they did with Fluffy. It was like the Fluffy mask, and then there was like an alternative that was sort of different colored. I definitely wanted to show you guys the masks and everything. I'm kind of glad I waited, even though they did a little squashed slightly in the packaging. It's not that big of a deal. I'm not gonna like cry over that, especially since technically it's just a bit of a novelty, no pun intended, to actually, you know, have it. And before I get to the movies, just one other thing that I got was actually this reprint of the Dawn of the Dead novel that came out actually just a couple years ago. I have an older copy of the novel from like a long time ago, but they did a reprint. I don't know if it says when. I'll look it up, but it's basically from a couple of years ago. And I was at a half-price bookstore, and they had them, and they were like super cheap. So obviously I grabbed one, and yeah, here it is. You know, nothing's too special about it. It's just, you know, a novelization. But it's just a reprint of the original one, though, that was done from when the movie came out. Okay, now we get to the movie. So I'm going to kind of go through these a little bit quicker than I usually do, just because there's so much here, and I don't want this video to be too long. Let's see, how should I start? So why don't I start with some of the studio ones. I think it's a good way to start. So first up is a comedy I absolutely love, and that is The Frisco Kid, starring Gene Wilder and Harrison Ford. And there's the front of the Blu-ray, and there is the back right there. Been waiting for this to get a Blu-ray release. So I know it's kind of one that like not a lot of people know, you know, especially considering it's Gene Wilder and Harrison Ford, but it's like not too many people seem to know this one. So I think it's really, really funny. It's one I think like my parents watched as a kid, and I just sort of watched it with them, and I've sort of kind of loved it ever since. So if you get a chance to check it out, I definitely recommend it. All right, next one. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Let's do, yeah, we'll do these two. So these two, some of you may remember back in, is it May? April, May? I got the Steelbook, the re-release Steelbook for Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of thing, because it had the original poster artwork, or, well, technically it was the re-release artwork, but one of the original artworks. I just absolutely love the look of it. And I kind of held off for a while, but I admit I kind of gave in, and so I did get the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom steelbook with the original poster artwork. As you can see, there's the front and there's the back. A little simple on the back, but still nice. But obviously, this is kind of the main thing. Absolutely, it's like, oh man, had to get it. And of course, it did not stop there, as I also recently got Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade steelbook, which you can see right there with that gorgeous original artwork. And then finally there's the back, again kind of simple but still nice. And of course, the nice thing about these re-releases is the fact that each one comes with a little kind of mini version of at least one of the original poster artworks, which is nice. In fact, let me actually go back and show you Temple of Doom real quick. Is right here. Yeah, just a nice bonus. I mean, now it's just a 4K and it comes with digital code, but there's no like Blu-ray. Now I'm gonna see, because some of you may remember, I actually have the it was like, I think, a Best Buy exclusive steelbook that came out last year when these got released, and they're okay. You know, the artwork is a little simplistic, but they're fine. And to be honest, I need to make a decision whether or not I actually want to keep that set or not. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of the fourth film, I believe they're releasing that steelbook as well with the original post artwork. If so, honestly, unless there's a reason for me to hold on to the old set, I may actually just sell off that old set, because the thing I love about these, of course, is it has the original artwork on it, which I'm such a sucker for, and I'd rather have these in my collection than the other steelbook set. And since those were Paramount releases, let's just stick with Paramount ones. And I did, in fact, recently get the Star Trek films in 4K. I think the first 4 got technically released. They got released last year. Never picked them up. And so I did pick up these newer ones, or these newer releases. I kind of debated which one to go for. I know it's like a set you can get kind of all of them for, but I ended up just getting them individually. I think, honestly, this is going to sound kind of petty on my part, especially since I ended up spending more money instead of just getting the set. But it's just like, I kind of like having like the covers with the original artwork. I absolutely love it. So just real quick, here is Star Trek II, the Wrathicon, and there's the front and there's the back, and they all do come with obviously 4K Blu-ray and a digital code. 2 and 6 do come with alternate cuts as well. And this is actually what started with me, because originally I was like, I'll get the other ones eventually, but actually I got Star Trek 2 first, and then it was like, I watched it, and God, it's been a while since I watched it, forgot how much I absolutely love it, and it was just like, I really want to get the other ones now, and that sort of opened up a whole floodgate, and I was like, oh crap, spent money I did not want to spend. But real quick, here is Star Trek 3, Search for Spock, and there's a front, and there is the back. And here's Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. There's a front, and there is the back. Star Trek 5, Front of Frontier. There's a front, and there's the back. Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Company. There's the front, and there's the back right there. And in case you guys are wondering, like, wait, where's the first film? Well, I kind of debated. I went back and forth, and I actually did get the big set, which, honestly, in retrospect, I was like, I kind of wish I didn't spend as much as I did. Not a whole lot with this set, but I'll show it real quick. So there's the front of the box. There's nothing on the back. Actually, I think there might have been something I took off that was on the back. Oh, yeah, here it is, actually. There wasn't anything holding it on, so it just shows the thing. But originally, yeah, this was on the back there. And then here's the inside, which obviously matches, but it opens up. And it's got a couple things on the inside. Nice little thing by Robert Wise, the late Robert Wise, who did direct Star Trek the Motion Picture. And opens up. And of course, there's a nice thing in the Enterprise right there. And it has 3 discs. And yes, it's in the sleeves, unfortunately. My one of my not favorite things. So it's got two 4K discs. Now, one of them has the director's edition, which is, I think it was an edition that was actually done in 2000, and they did... but I don't think they actually finished it in 4K. So even though it was on DVD, they actually had to go back and sort of, I think, redo aspects of it in order to make it 4K. So one disc is that. One disc has the original theatrical cut in 4K, and then has an included Blu-ray. And then it just comes with a couple odds and ends. It's got a couple like pictures here, and it's got this little booklet right here, which has which is actually kind of nice. It's got some like behind the scenes pictures and things like that in it, which is nice. Let's see if I can find one other thing here. And even some like concept art and whatnot. You know, kind of wish this was bigger. I wish there was like more in this, but still nice. And then it comes with a couple interesting things, like some stickers. Which I don't know what I'm going to do this, but it came with it. It's kind of, you know, not a bad thing. So here's I'm a Trekkie. I think some of these are sort of like retro, like reprints of retro stickers. Yep, Mr. Spock, Federation vehicle, and finally just one for Star Trek the Motion Picture. And then it has these that I look very retro. As you can see there of some of the characters. Like, it's just, yeah, it's kind of nice that it has a retro look to it. You know, something that would have come out at the time. I don't know if they actually are reproductions of retro stickers or not, but still it's kind of cool. And then just this small reproduction of the poster. So while I wasn't originally going to get this deluxe one of the first one, I think technically the regular release only has the director's edition and not the theatrical cut. And I think that was part of the reason why I sort of leaned towards this one. But was it worth the price? No. I will say that. It was, you know, decent as this is, I don't think it was worth the price. But still nice to have just the same. And 3 titles that I actually got back in July during the Barnes & Noble Criterion sale, which I realize I've not talked about at all. I did get 3 movies from that. And the first one is the 4K release of Shaft. And there's a case right there. There's not really anything on the back. Next up, 4K release of Double Indemnity. And then finally, the 4K release of Raging Bull. 3 great films. So happy that, again, Criterion is jumping into the 4K arena, and happy to add these to the collection. All right, now we move into before I get, I have actually a lot of Scream Factory stuff here. Before I get to that, I'm actually going to do I do have 2 Synapse titles that I got in. First one is The Kindred. There's the front of the outer slipcover, and there is the back, and this is actually their original steelbook. So there's a steelbook cover with the original poster artwork, and there is the back. Actually, I think this comes off. Kind of see it. I don't want to remove it completely, but just there's the back of the steelbook right there. So the standard release of this is either just came out or is coming out. And I kind of debated this for a long time. I was like, oh, you know, I was going to get the standard release, but then I was like, I kind of really like the steelbook. I just really don't want to spend the money on it. Because one of the reasons why I wanted this one is also because it does come with the soundtrack and everything. As a big soundtrack collector, that actually does mean something to me. But also the fact that at Flashback over the summer, I actually didn't spend as much money as I thought I was going to spend. So I actually came back and I was like, you know what? There's a couple things I've been meaning to get. Why don't I go ahead and get it? So this was one that I did order from Synapse. Although in theory, actually, they had a table there. I actually could have picked it up while I was there. And the other one I got from Synapse is the new release of Creature from Black Lake. And there's the front of the slipcover, and there's the back, and there's the front of the inside with the original poster artwork, and just details on the back there. So happy to grab these 2 from Synapse. Again, you know, like in retrospect, you know, it's the kind of thing where it's like, I literally could have gotten these in person instead of having to order them, but that's okay. I got them just the same. All right, so the next couple are some Scream Factory pickups. Some of these were website exclusives, and then other ones were just, you know, part of the normal releases that I finally got around to pick it up. So first up, we'll do the website exclusives. So first up is Watchers 2, and there's a front of the Blu-ray, and there is the back. I don't think I mentioned this in a previous video. If I did, I'm sorry, I was kind of skipped through these, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. Next up is the movie Flesh Eaters, and there's the front, and there's the back. Still got the cellophane on this one. Actually, I still have the cellophane on the next one too, and that is The She Creature, and there's a front right there. And there is the back. And I do have the, because they do send you the poster with it. I just don't have it next to me right there, but I do have that. And next one is double feature of Strip to Kill and Final Judgment. There's the front. And there is the back. And these are actually pretty good. Actually, Strip to Kill, despite, it's I know it's sort of pretty much just an exploitation title, but it was actually a lot better than I really was expecting it to be. And Final Judgment, I knew nothing about. I'm going to be, outside of the fact that it has Brad Dourif in it, I didn't know anything about it. And then watching it, it's actually pretty good. He plays a priest that involved in this sort of like serial killer who's going around killing all these women and everything. I was actually pleasantly surprised by it. And then finally for the site exclusives, I did get in Stuart Gordon film Space Truckers, and there's the front. And there is the back right there. So I haven't seen this in actually a long time. Looking forward to rewatching that. All right, so for the Scream Factory one, so I have actually, let's see, I have one Blu-ray and then the rest are 4K. So I'm just do the Blu-ray real quick. So I got the Brian De Palma film Femme Fatale, and there's the front, and there is the back. And this is actually a Brian De Palma film I had not seen before. So I was kind of happy to pick it up and check it out. Definitely has a lot of his elements in it. I mean, the ending is kind of interesting because I don't really know how to take it. And again, I'm not going to say anything to spoil it, but it was just kind of like, it's one of those endings like you have to buy it or you don't. So I kind of rolled with it, but I must admit it was a bit like wait, kind of thing. So it'd be interesting to see if on repeated viewing whether or not knowing the ending whether or not it changes anything for me or not. But again, anything De Palma, I'm so happy to have a copy of. All right, so the next couple are the 4K releases. Actually, this first one is technically Shout Select, not Scream Factory. So let me just do this one real quick. It's the new 4K release of Red Dawn, and there's the front, and there's the back. And I think the inside's basically the same right there. Happy to have it in 4K. And next up is 4K release of Species, and there's the front. And there is the back. And next up, 4K release of Paul Schrader's Cat People. And there's the front. And there is the back. And then the new 4K release of Dog Soldiers. You can see there's the front and there is the back. And I have to say this is obviously a major upgrade from the Scream Factory Blu-ray from a couple years ago, where they could only use like a release print, if I remember correctly, for the transfer. Where this got a new transfer from the original Super 16mm camera negative, and then two more two Tobe Hooper films. So first up, the 4K release of Life Force, and there's the front. And there is the back. I know I had some complaints because I was like, oh, they don't, what do you call it? The international cuts not in 4K. I do wish that was in 4K. It kind of sucks that only the US theatrical cut is the only one in 4K. But still, happy to have this, at least some version of it in 4K. And then finally, the other Tobe Hooper film, The Fun House, which I'm so happy it's got a 4K release. And there's the front of the slipcover. And there is the back. And I did flip the inside. Not all of them have flip insides, but this one does for the teaser trailer. Now, for some of these Scream Factory releases, let me know your thoughts. But I'm kind of thinking, because I think I've watched all of them at this point, and I was thinking of doing, I mentioned this a while ago, and I was like, I think it's kind of a good idea to have certain titles, especially if they're re-releases like these, to just do what I would call like mini reviews. So they're videos that really are only like maybe 2 to 3 minutes long at the most, and I just quickly kind of jump through. Just mention a couple things about the transfer, especially in cases like this where we're going, there's a Blu-ray release a couple years ago, now we're getting the 4K, but it's generally the same release except for the new 4K transfer. It's like, so how does it hold up? If you guys want me to do that for these, just let me know. I'd be happy to. And also kind of knowing that going forward for some of these other releases. Anyway, so that's my pickups video. Finally, some of this stuff, there's more stuff I can get to, but I tried to actually limit this one down as best I could. But I think I at least got through all the movies. I think it's just a couple minor things here and there. I did mention this another, let me just mention these real quick. So actually I did get in the new 4K release of Poltergeist, which you can see there and there. And also the new Warner Brothers 4K release of The Lost Boys, which you can see right there And there's the back. And let me know if you want, again, quick reviews of these two as well. I know some of you had already mentioned something want me to check out, specifically with Poltergeist, which I will double check for you. So yeah, actually 2 quick ones here to actually end the video on. So that's it for this one. So hopefully now I'm more or less up to date. So everything going forward is that, when new stuff comes in, I can kind of not wait like, 3 months or 2.5 months before I do another one. So definitely let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you picked up anything recently as well. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.